Hello, Bacha Party. How are you? This is Dr. Sunil Kanal taking your 10th standard revision lectures of science along with Anubhavi Foundation. Let's start our things. As I told you, I am Dr. Sunil Kanal and we'll be starting. कैसे हैं आप सब? I hope you are studying nicely and properly. So let's come back to a very important chapter again from Science 1, that is chapter 6, chapter 7, that is lenses. Okay, and we are going to see something about it with 4 marks and options. It is 6 marks. Okay, so let's come back to lenses. So what is a lens? A lens is a transparent medium which is bound by two surfaces. Okay, it's a transparent medium generally made up of glass. The lens which has two spherical surfaces which are uh, it is pulled outwards this way, okay, or they are having swollen like this. It is called as a convex or a double convex lens. This lens is thicker near the center and it is thinner at the edges. That is called as a biconvex lens. Okay, this the lens with both the spherical surfaces are inside. Okay, example is this, that is a biconcave lens or a double concave lens. This lens is thinner at the center as compared to its edges. You have different types of lenses here. We have convex lenses, three types of convex lenses and three types of concave lenses for your reference, and they do come for the exams for drawing also the figures. Okay, so lenses from spheres. So how are the lenses prepared? Actually, they are prepared whether it is a convex lens or a concave lens. They are always prepared from two spheres. So what is, we should know certain terms about the lenses. The first is center of curvature C. The center of spheres whose parts form the surfaces of the lenses are called as the center of curvature of the lens. A lens with both the surfaces spherical has two centers of curvature. If these are the two spherical surfaces, there are two centers C1 and C2 of the two different spheres from which the lens has been developed. Radius of curvature, the radii R1 and R2 of the spheres from which the lens's surface have been developed or taken are called as radii of curvature. Principal axis, the imaginary line passing through both the centers of curvature is called as principal axis of the lens. Then coming to the optical center, the point inside the lens, so this is inside the lens here, O, which we are marking here, is the principal on the principal axis where the light rays pass or through which the light rays pass without changing their path is called as optical center of a lens. Then let's talk of principal focus. When light rays parallel to the principal axis are incident on a convex lens, then they converge to a point on the principal axis. That point is called principal focus of the lens. And the distance between the optical center and the principal focus is called its focal length. So I was talking about that. Let's talk about the images formed by convex lenses and the laws. We will take three different types of incident ray. Since lenses will show refraction, they will change their path after they are passing through the lens. The light rays will change their path. In first case, if the incident ray, when the incident ray is parallel to the principal axis, after getting refracted from the lens, it will pass through the principal focus on the other side. Similarly, if that is the refracted ray passes through the principal focus, if the incident ray passes through the principal focus after refraction becomes parallel to the principal axis, and the incident ray which passes through the optical center will go undeviated. There will be no refraction because that point will act like a normal. Okay, so it will go undeviated. So now for a ray diagram, for a real image, an object AB suppose is placed beyond the point 2F, the incident ray BC starting from B and going parallel to the principal axis. We will take two rays rather. One is the incident ray BC which is parallel to the principal axis and the other is passing through the optical center. The ray, incident ray which is passing through the optical center goes undeviated, while the ray which is passing parallel to the principal axis after refraction will go through the principal focus. Therefore, wherever they meet, we can draw the image. The image will can be obtained on the screen. It is real, inverted, that is A dash B dash. It is real, inverted between f2 and 2f2, okay, and it is smaller than the object. Thus we can draw any image, okay, that is called as a ray diagrams, through which we can understand, or we can draw the ray diagrams to show the images formed or the possible ways in which the images can be formed. So images formed by convex lenses for different position of the lenses. When the object is placed at infinity, the position of the image is at the focus f2 on the other side of the lens. It's a point image. Point image means all the rays will converge at one point. Hence, convex lens is called as a converging lens. Because all the points, all the rays of light which are incident and which are parallel to the principal axis, after refraction, they will all converge at one point, that is principal focus. The nature of the image is real, inverted, and very small or point image. Now, if the object is beyond 2f1, the image will be formed between f2 and 2f2, which is smaller than the object. It is real and inverted. Those which are real and inverted, they can be obtained on the screen. Then if the object is at 2f1, the image also is at 2f1 on the other side, same 2f2, sorry, it is same size as that of the object. It is real and inverted. If the object is between f1 and 2f1, then the position of the image is beyond 2f2, which is larger than the object. It is real and inverted. If the object is at f1, the image formed is at infinity, very large but real and inverted. And only one case in which the object is between f1 and optical center, then the image is formed on the same side of the lens as the object, very large, but it is erect and virtual, or virtual and erect, which is used by various people like the palmists, the astrologers, and also the watch repairers, etc., who will use them for magnifying the image of the objects they are repairing. Now, image formed by a concave lens. Now, concave lens is a diverging lens. So, if the ray of light incident on it, which is parallel to the principal axis, after refraction, it will diverge away as if it is coming from the principal focus on the same side. And if it is passing to the optical center, it will go undeviated. Therefore, the image formed will be a small image, okay, that is small, virtual, and erect. And all the, for any at infinity, if the object is at infinity, then the image is always formed at first principal focus, or the f1, and it is always a point image, virtual and erect, because actually the rays do not converge there, they appear to come out from there. It's a virtual image, you cannot get it on a screen. Very important. Now let's understand the sign convention, the Cartesian sign conventions for for the lenses to be used, or how the problems have to be solved. For that, we should first know the Cartesian sign conventions. If we take the lens, the vertical line passing through the optical center as the y-axis and the principal axis as the x-axis, then we can always write the sign conventions easily. According to the Cartesian sign convention, the optical center O is always taken to be the origin. The principal axis is the x-axis of the frame of reference. The sign convention is as follows. The object is always placed on the left hand side of the lens. All distances parallel to the principal axis are measured from the optical center only. That is, it is taken as an origin. The distances measured to the right of O are taken to be positive. Okay, here these are positive because they are on the right of the origin. while those measured on the left are taken as negative because they are measured on the negative x-axis. Distances perpendicular to the principal axis and above it are taken as positive. Distances perpendicular to the principal axis and below it are taken as negative. The focal length, very important, fill in the blanks also, it comes for dear students, so you should know it. The focal length of a convex lens is positive while that of a concave lens is always negative. You should know these sign conventions. So let's see something about the lens formula and magnification. The formula showing the relation between distance of the object, the distance of the image, that is the image distance, and the focal length is called as lens formula. The formula is 1 upon v, that is 1 upon the image distance, minus 1 upon u, that is 1 upon the object distance, is equal to 1 upon f, that is the focal length. The lens formula is same for any spherical lens and for any distance of the object from the lens. Okay, if you use the sign conventions properly, you can solve any questions with that. The magnification. Now, what is magnification? Magnification can be defined as a ratio of the height of the image to that of the object. It is given as m is equal to h2 upon h1, where h2 is the image height and h1 is the object height. Or it can be also given as distance of the image upon distance of the object. M is equal to V upon U. Now coming to power of the lens and combination of lenses. The capacity of the lens to converge or diverge the incident rays is called as a power of the lens. The power of the lens depends upon its focal length. It is always inverse of the focal length, which is expressed in meters. So P is equal to 1 upon F in meters, and the unit of power of lens is diopters. So 1 diopter is 1 upon 1 meter if the focal length was 1 meter. If two lenses with focal length f1 and f2 are kept in contact with each other, the combination has an effective focal length as 1 upon f is equal to 1 upon f1 plus 1 upon f2, or P is equal to p1 plus p2. So that was something about the lenses, dear students. Now coming to some optical organs, or example eye, which is a very important thing for us. Okay, human eyes are having a binocular vision, and we are using our eyes for seeing the beauty of this earth and the surrounding beautiful scenes and things. Okay, so let's talk about the human eye. If you talk of the human eye, it is spherical in nature, situated in the eye sockets in the bones or the cavities of the skull, and they are situated in the front, and they help in seeing the objects properly. Now there is a very thin transparent cover on the eye, so it is called as a cornea. This is the cornea you can see here. This is the cornea, which is a membrane cover on the human eye. This is called cornea. Light enters the eye through it. Maximum amount of incident light is refracted inside the eye at the outer surface of the cornea itself. Then there is a dark fleshy screen behind the cornea that is called as the iris. So iris is a muscular, muscular screen which will have a small slit-like opening called as pupil, which will control the amount of light passing into the lens or towards the lens. Iris of different people have different colors. Therefore, some have black eyes, some have brownish eyes, some have cat eyes, and so on. There's a small hole or aperture of changing diameter at the center of it, which is called as pupil. The pupil controls the amount of light entering the eye. If the light falling on the eye is too bright, the pupil contracts, while if the light is dim, it widens so that maximum amount of light can be taken inside. On the surface of the iris, there is a bulge of transparent layers. Okay, there is a double convex transparent crystalline lens just behind the pupil. The lens provides small adjustments of the focal length to focus the image on or form a sharp image on the retina. The lens creates real and inverted image of the object on the screen inside the eye, which is called as retina. The retina has two types of cells, rods and cones, which are photosensitive. cones are for daylight vision, and rods for the dim or the night vision. They will create signals which are conveyed to the brain through the optic nerve. So there is an optic nerve which will carry the signals further towards the brain. Later, the brain analyzes the signals and converts them in such a way that we perceive the objects as it is of the actual size. Now, the important thing is change in the shape of the lenses, now, which is a very important topic, that is power of accommodation. Now, the minimum distance of an object from a normal eye at which it can be seen clearly or visible without any strain on the eye is called as a minimum distance of distinct vision. The position of the object at the distance is called as a near point of the eye. Very important. So minimum distance where you should keep that object is called as a near point of the eye. For a normal human eye, the near point is 25 centimeter. So you should keep the object at least 25 centimeter away from the eye to see the clear image of it. The farthest distance of the object from the human eye at which it can be seen clearly without stress is called as a farthest distance of the distinct vision. The position of the object at the distance is called as the far point of the eye, which is infinity for us. Okay, so farthest distance is at infinity, while the nearest distance is very close by, that is 25 centimeter, that is a near point of eye. Now coming to the defects of vision and their corrections. Now, dear students, we have different types of defects for which we use spectacles also. So the first defect which we should know is a nearsightedness or myopia. In this case, the eye becomes, I can see nearby objects clearly, but the distant objects cannot be seen properly or they are indistinct. This means that the point of the eye, that is a far point of the eye, is not at infinity but shifts closer to the eye. So what happens is there are two reasons for that defect. So reasons for the defect. You should know the answer in this format only. Nearsightedness, what it is. Two reasons for it. The curvature of the cornea and the eye lens increases. The muscles near the lens, or they are attaching to the lens, cannot relax so that the converging power of the lens remains large. The eyeball elongates so that the distance between the lens and the retina increases. So the image is formed in front of the retina. How it can be corrected? You can use a concave lens of suitable power which will diverge the rays, and then when they fall on the cornea and the lens, they will be suitably taking, or the point image will be formed on the retina so that it can be corrected properly. So a spectacles of concave lens should be made for it. Okay. Now coming to far-sightedness or hypermetropia. In this defect, the human eye can see distant objects clearly but cannot see nearby objects distinctly. This you must have seen many people, they get difficulty in reading newspaper or small font of the books, etc. This means even I get sometimes this type of thing. As the age increases, this type of thing is very common with people. This means that the near point of the eye is no longer at 25 centimeter but shifts further away. There are two reasons for far-sightedness. The first is curvature of the cornea and the eye lens decreases so that the converging power of the lens becomes less due to flattening of the eyeball. The eyeball gets flattened. Therefore, the image of the object falls beyond the retina, as if beyond the retina. Therefore, a proper clear image or sharp image is not formed on the retina. Therefore, we use convex lens. The correction is with the help of spectacles using a suitable convex lens of suitable power so that they will converge the rays. Again, when they were passing through the eye lens, which is a biconvex lens, they will form a sharp image on the retina. The next is presbyopia. Generally, the focusing power of the eye lens decreases with age. Actually, we have a property called as power of accommodation. As we see different objects, some far, some close by, the eye lens continuously, with the help of ciliary muscles, they adjust their focal length, contract or relax continuously. But with age, this focusing power of the eye lens decreases and the lens lose their ability to change the focal length of the lens. The near point of the lens shifts further from the eye. Because of this, old people cannot see nearby objects clearly. Sometimes people suffer from nearsightedness as well as farsightedness. Therefore, they have to use bifocal lens to correct that disorder. Such a disorder is called as presbyopia. So now coming to uses of concave lens. Concave lens has many uses. It is used in medical equipment, scanners, CD players, then peephole of the door, okay, which is a small safety device which helps us to see the large area outside the door, then spectacles for nearsightedness or myopia, then torch. Concave lens is used to spread widely the torch light because they are diverging lenses. Therefore, even a small bulb can produce a bright light. Then camera, telescope and microscope. These instruments mainly use convex lenses, not the concave lenses there, to get good quality images. A concave lens is used in front of the eyepiece or inside it also sometimes, but generally convex lenses there. So now coming to use of convex lenses. The very important is simple microscope or the hand lens or the magnifying glass which we call. A convex lens with a small focal length produces a virtual, erect and bright image or a bigger image of an object as shown in the figure if the object is placed between the F, that is principal focus, and the optical center. Such an instrument or lens is called simple microscope or magnifying lens. One can get a 20 times larger image of the object using that. It is used by watch repairers, testing precious gems, jewelers, and finding their defects also. Now coming to compound microscope. Simple microscope is used to observe small sized objects, but minute objects like blood cells, which are very small, blood cells, cells of the plants, animals and minute living beings like bacteria cannot be magnified sufficiently by simple microscope. For that we use compound microscopes. Dear students, you must have seen compound microscope in your laboratories. A compound microscope is made up of two convex lens, objective and an eyepiece. The objective has a smaller cross section and a smaller focal length, while the eyepiece, sorry, there is a typo error. This is an objective, this is a eyepiece, okay. The eyepiece has a bigger cross section. Its focal length is also larger than that of the objective. Higher magnification can be obtained by the combined effect of the two lenses. And whatever the image is formed by the objective will be inside the focal length of the eyepiece, and then a virtual image can be created here which is highly magnified. Now coming to persistence of vision. Now what is persistence of vision? We see an object because the eye lens creates its image on the retina. The image on a retina is there on the retina as long as the object is in front of us. The image disappears as soon as the object is taken away. However, this does not happen instantaneously and the image remains imprinted on a retina for 1/16th of a second after the object is removed. The sensation on the retina persists for a while. The retina in our eyes is made up of many light sensitive cells. These are rods and cones, okay, and they will help to understand the intensity of light. The rods respond to the intensity of light and give information of the brightness or dimness, while the cone cells are for colored and the daylight vision. Brain processes all the information and we see the actual image of the object. Rod-like cells respond to faint light, but conical cells do not. Thus we perceive colors only in bright light or the daylight. So we cannot see the object, clearly see an object kept at a distance less than 25 centimeter. The muscles attached to the eye lens, ciliary muscles, help in the fine adjustments of the focal length of the lens. So dear students, this is an important give reason. The capacity of these muscles to contract or relax to adjust the focal length has a limit. The minimum distance of an object from a normal eye for which the eye lens can decrease its focal length to the least possible value is 25 centimeters. Therefore, we cannot see any object clearly if it is kept at a distance of less than 25 centimeter from the eye. Then important difference is far-sightedness and near-sightedness. Okay, the far-sightedness, the problem arises due to slight flattening of the eyeball, while near-sightedness, the problem arises due to slight elongation of the eyeball. The curvature of the cornea and the eyeball decreases so that the converging power becomes less. Here, the converging power becomes more because the curvature of the cornea and the eye lens increases. The distance between the eye lens and the retina decreases. Here, it is increasing. The near point shifts further away, while here, the far point shifts closer by. And a person suffering from this defect can see distant objects clearly but are unable to see nearby objects, while nearsightedness, he can see the nearby objects clearly but the distant objects he cannot see properly. This can be corrected by convex lens of suitable focal length. Here, this can be corrected by concave lens of suitable focal length. So, dear students, this completes this topic properly. I hope you have understood the summary of this chapter. You will do it nicely. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Take care and always keep shining.